G'day legends, Atron here. So today we are doing Guild Wars, but I've created a new team formation. So as we go through these, the three heroes, Mike, Cirrina, and Mino, that I've been using are still the same. But what I've done, and Sasquatch is still there for some potential wall breaking stuff. But what I've done differently, as opposed to previous, is I think I was changing Ronin for Espirita, and I was using Espirita first to clear troops, and then I was using Anubis on Doom Balloon, so because you would get those 3 Doom Balloons. But what I've been finding is that Espirita, when you've got these Empower and you've got these doves, is dying very quickly. So we have changed that, and I've been finding Anubis is actually a lot smoother to use, and Ronin on Doom Balloon, if it gets to that point, like if you need to drop a hero with Doom Balloon, Ronin is probably the second best choice. But in this formation, if you're using Anubis first, he's your first pick in the last hero to drop. So a couple of these bases are fairly easy. Mino's power level with Cirrina, Mike, and his own buffs come to about 317k, I think it was last time. So over 300,000 damage on his proc once he adds Cirrina buff and once he adds that Mike buff in, and so that's going to one-shot the entire base, because the highest HP value is a Town Hall at 280k. So long as your Mino is doing like pretty close to that, Doom Balloon procs are like 50k, I think, ish. Like once you drop them, if you're probably on a Ronin with higher damage, they'll be higher again. I think I calculated ages ago that when I was dropping on my Stone Skin DD or Dread Drake, that he would do about 50k. So I'm assuming Ronin's probably more than that. But if you've only got a couple of buildings left, 6 at most, maybe 7 if you've got all the arrow towers plus the Town Hall, if you're around that 280k mark, you're probably fine to pop the base and then drop Ronin. You'll still clear, no worries. But I mean, if you're using Cirrina, your damage is going to be over that 300 mark, no worries. 100% buff plus the 60% buff from Mike. So it definitely creates a huge amount of window, for Mino to do that damage. Now, best setup for Anubis when you're using Anubis first. So when he's being used last, Doom Balloon is his best option, and then maybe something to keep him alive. So if I'm tanking with him, he's going to go into a full base, so definitely need Blitz on Anubis so he can proc, because if he revives and he gets stunned straight away, he won't proc necessarily. Doom Balloon will still go off every 6 seconds, I'm pretty sure, but that's regardless, because you want to use Phoenix Pent on him if you're doing that. Now, I didn't even use Mike in that scenario. That was just Cirrina. So magic towers are gone, and then Cirrina buff was fine and got rid of what I needed it to. So still massive with just Cirrina. So if you want to maybe work that out and drop Mike and just use more of a cleanup crew, you might use Ronin, Doom Balloon, and I don't know, Athene or Heartbreaker, for example, to get those buildings on the edge. Or you might use a DD or a tree, for example. You might use a tree and bring everyone back to life. If you can rely on just Mino and Cirrina to pretty much wipe everything except the Town Hall, you really only need that Town Hall destroyed then, and I dare say once you revive your full squad, you will be totally fine. So, same kind of process with, what did I use this time? Sasquatch. So Sasquatch goes in. I think I still wanted him to break a wall and to try and drop Mino and Cirrina. So I'm recording this a little bit afterwards, so I'm still going over. We've got Dove, so I may have tried to proc on the Dove, which is surprisingly, like that, for example, didn't go to the Dove, or the Dove disappeared. Surprisingly more and more difficult as you have the empowered Doves or Athenes and Skelly and Anubises and Wallers, because your Mino's getting damaged, but he's also getting scattered fairly easily because the Doves and the Copters are so close together. So this is another example of just using Anubis first. So I think I would. This is my preferred setup, to be honest. So even though I highly, if the base calls for it, Espirita will probably clear the troops quicker. Simply because Anubis has to die, and I think it's 8 seconds flat or 8 seconds flat-ish if you get it right. So and Mino just walked into that base, so nothing crazy going on there. Like he just walked up, had the speed, the melee champion, no stress. So that's how easy it can be. It's really Anubis walked in, and those different bases they don't have a lot of walls to them, but they've got little gaps there for you to walk in. That's perfect for Mino to just walk up to. So no issues there. What do? I think we just wall break. Yeah, I will go to the top. I think I had a couple of issues with this one where the Athene was still proccing. We want to distract that gunslinger. Anubis is down. He's got rid of all the troops. So same sort of setup. Sasquatch maybe for an opening, depending on how the base is looking. But, in that last one, we didn't even need to do that. We didn't even need Sasquatch to break any walls. It was just Anubis walked in. He went head-to-head with one of the Anubises. And then this was the issue. So I can't remember. Oh, I should have seen that. Athene actually died to the mic. So we could have had Mino walk in. I could have done something a little bit different here if I was trying to kill the Athene as well, but I was simply just relying on Mino walking to a building. So I might have done that down the bottom, to be honest. A couple of days after I've done this recording, but I just wanted to showcase the new team that I think I'm more happy with, that I would provide me more consistent guild war when using Minnow Bomb and trying to get that one pop shot off the Minnow power. So we got Anubis in the corner. He's fine. We want to distract the troops so he doesn't get stunned and scattered on the first go. So that's the important part there of why he's in blitz and why you have to distract the gunslinger copters. That's the main thing, to get him to proc enough times, or in his 3 deaths and his 3 procs, for him to come back. Because when he revives, he's on 5 Vite, crested 5 Vite, so he will come back with 5 Vite energy. So we got this again, and then, so Athene, all I had to do there was time the Athene. So she was only on a 4 or 5 in power set, no big deal, and we just waited for her to get to that 5 seconds after she procs, and no stress at all. Then she's not a danger like she is. If she was 8 of 8 in power, the window is actually way smaller, and you would have to potentially look at killing her first. Now in that instance, even though we're into this next one, I'm still talking about the last one, in that instance you might use Mike first and then just rely on the Cirrina and Minnow buff, because it is still so high. So what did this one, I think I messed around with this one a bunch because I was focusing too much on Sasquatch and breaking all of the walls and the troops for no real reason, because there's so many buildings down the bottom that Minnow can just walk into, or which I'm pretty sure is what ends up happening anyway. Just all I had to do was distract Gunslinger for a tiny momentum. That Skelly looks like it's 8 of 8 in power. So, and then, as I said, just got to walk up to a building, make sure he doesn't die, distract the troops, and go in between the empower cooldowns. And Cirrina and Mike are doing all the work for you, plus Minnow, obviously. So much smoother with troops, or much more guaranteed, less trial and error when using Anubis as compared to Espirita. Still love Espirita, still think she's fantastic for certain things. In some cases she is better than Anubis because she can distract and the spirit can fly over the wall. So, but for the everyday sort of thing, I'm finding that Anubis is much more reliable and less tries to clear those 300 odd troops if they're full bases. The bonus of having Phoenix on Nub or Anubis is that he will you get a couple of Phoenix procs off. And he's never going to kill the base, so if he hits the wrong building that your Minnow wanted to hit, just restart. That's, you know, it's not going to cause you too much harm. So I dropped them at the same time, a little bit more distracting. So the gunslinger troops or copters don't affect Anubis so much, and he can get a proc off, or a couple of procs off, but he did end up doing that. I can't remember where. I think I just walk Minnow in from the bottom again on this one. And to be honest, I might be thinking, like, I don't really need Sasquatch here. I'm not even going in through the wall. That's not the point of everything. Really, I just want the troops destroyed. So Sasquatch, or, you know, potentially Ronin, or no, not Ronin, Rockno, or someone who can distract and heal at the same time while your Anubis does your thing, if that makes sense. So the Sasquatch, while I didn't use him for so much wall breaking, he's just part of my defense team. He just works it all out. Again, just walking into the base, happy days, popping it off. Doesn't really need, you know, open air buildings, like no walls around them. Too easy with this Mike and Cirrina combo. So that's all it is. I don't know. I don't know what my top score is. That's probably got to be pretty close to it. But we're rolling through. We're seeing, I'll go through the heroes again, obviously heroes now and heroes at the beginning as well. I think I go through them a little bit more in depth, but besides that, happy days. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, enjoy. I'll see you in the next video.